Right now, somewhere across this country, a retired couple is sitting at their kitchen table wondering why their Social Security check looks smaller than it should. They've paid into the system for decades, they did everything right, and yet some of the money they're legally entitled to is sitting there, waiting for them to claim it. Today, I'm walking you through 5 specific payouts that a significant number of seniors are missing right now. And for each one, I'll tell you exactly what to do. If you haven't subscribed to Informer John yet, do that right now and hit the bell. This channel exists to make sure you get every dollar you've earned from Social Security and Medicare. Now let's get into it. Payout number 1, the spousal benefit top-up. Let's start here because this is where the gap between what people are actually receiving and what they're legally owed is the largest in pure dollar terms. Here's how it works. If your spouse collects Social Security and their monthly benefit is meaningfully higher than yours, you may be entitled to receive up to 50% of their amount permanently instead of or in addition to your own smaller check. On a spouse receiving $2,400 per month, that's a potential spousal benefit of $1,200 every single month for the rest of your life. Now, here's what trips people up. The Social Security Administration does not set this up automatically. They don't compare the two records and steer you toward the better option. You have to apply for it separately, and millions of couples have never done that. The situation I hear about most often goes something like this. A woman spent most of her marriage working part-time, raising kids, caring for aging parents, keeping the household going, while her husband built up a full career. She filed for her own Social Security at 62 because she needed the income. Her husband filed later on his much larger record. She assumed Social Security had worked out the best arrangement for both of them. It hadn't. She spent years collecting only her own reduced benefit when she was entitled to a spousal top-up that would have added several $100s to her check every month. And here's what makes this especially painful. The correction is not retroactive to when she first qualified. It starts from the day she finally applies. Every month without that application is money that's simply gone. If you're currently collecting a benefit based only on your own earnings record, and your spouse receives a significantly larger check, make one call. The number is 1-800-772-1213. Ask specifically whether a spousal benefit top-up applies to your situation. Have both Social Security numbers ready. The call takes about 20 minutes, and the result could be a permanent monthly increase for the rest of your life. Payout number 2. The survivor benefit switching strategy. This is one of the most consistently overlooked approaches in the entire Social Security system. And the reason it stays overlooked is simple. The SSA will almost never explain this strategy unless you specifically ask. The average monthly survivor benefit in 2026 is $1,863. Most widows and widowers know at a basic level that they're entitled to something when a spouse passes away. What almost nobody knows is that survivor benefits can actually begin as early as age 60. And there's a specific claiming sequence built around that fact that can change the entire lifetime income picture. Here's the scenario that comes up constantly. A widow at 63 assumes she has two choices: file for survivor benefits now at a reduced amount, or wait until 70 for her own retirement benefit at its maximum. What she doesn't realize is that those two choices are not mutually exclusive. She can begin collecting survivor benefits at 60, 62, or 63, receiving real income throughout her 60s, while leaving her own retirement benefit completely untouched and growing at 8% per year all the way to age 70. At 70, she compares the two amounts and switches to whichever one is higher. The household receives income the entire time without sacrificing the ability to lock in the highest possible benefit at 70. The people who miss this entirely are the ones who decide to hold out for their own maximum, file for nothing in their 60s, and leave years of legitimate survivor income uncollected. SSA doesn't volunteer this. You have to know to ask. When you call, ask specifically about filing for survivor benefits while deferring your own retirement benefit. Payout number 3. The IRMAA appeal. This one is specifically for people who were higher earners at some point, and it involves a Medicare surcharge that most people don't realize can be reduced or eliminated entirely with a single free form. If your income exceeded $109,000 as a single filer or $218,000 as a married couple in 2024, then Medicare is charging you extra in 2026 on top of the standard $202.90 monthly Part B premium. These surcharges, called IRMAA, range from an additional $1,148 to $6,936 per person per year, depending on your income tier. They are automatically deducted from your Social Security check before you ever see it. Here is the critical detail most people paying these surcharges don't know. The SSA calculates IRMAA using your tax return from 2 years ago. Your 2026 surcharge is based on your 2024 income. If your financial situation has changed since then, you retired, you sold a property that created a one-time income spike, you took a large IRA withdrawal for a specific reason, your spouse passed away, you may be paying a surcharge based on income you no longer have. Let me give you a real example. A couple sold their home in 2024. That capital gain pushed their income over the IRMAA threshold for the first time in their lives. In 2026, Medicare is charging both of them the surcharge based on that one-time sale, even though their actual income now is just Social Security and a modest pension, well below the threshold. They assumed the surcharge was permanent. It is not. One form, the SSA-44, is specifically designed for this situation. You file it with documentation showing the life-changing event that reduced your income, and the SSA recalculates using your current income instead. A successful appeal can save between $1,148 and $6,936 per person per year. You can download Form SSA-44 at ssa.gov or pick it up at any Social Security office. When you call 1-800-772-1213, say this: "My income has dropped since 2024, and I want to file Form SSA-44 for a life-changing event to have my Medicare premium recalculated." Payout number 4, WEP and GPO correction payments. This one has an important update because the situation has continued to evolve. The Social Security Fairness Act, signed into law in January of 2025, permanently eliminated 2 rules: the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, that had for decades reduced or wiped out Social Security benefits for people who received a government pension from a job that didn't pay into Social Security. Teachers, firefighters, police officers, federal civil service employees. The elimination was retroactive to January 2024. The average retroactive lump sum payment has been approximately $6,710. Monthly benefits have increased by an average of $360 permanently, and by last summer, the SSA had completed payments to more than 3.1 million eligible beneficiaries, totaling over $17 billion. Now here's the update, and this is particularly important if you haven't seen a change in your check yet. The cases still being processed tend to be the spousal and survivor cases, situations where someone's benefit was reduced because of their spouse's government pension, not their own. These are structurally more complex, and the SSA has been slower to resolve them. A widow whose late husband was a teacher may be owed a correction that still hasn't appeared. On top of that, questions have been raised at the Senate level about whether some beneficiaries received the full retroactive amount they were owed. So if you haven't seen the increase you expected, it is absolutely worth verifying. If you or your spouse worked in a government job and your benefit was reduced under the old rules, log in to ssa.gov and compare your current monthly benefit to what you were receiving before January 2025. If the number hasn't changed, call 1-800-772-1213 and ask specifically, "Has my account been fully updated under the Social Security Fairness Act, and is any retroactive payment still pending on my record?" Payout number 5, your Medicare Advantage OTC benefit. And this one has a significant update for 2026 that affects millions of people who have no idea their situation changed. If you're enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan, you may have an over-the-counter benefit, a monthly or quarterly allowance loaded onto a prepaid card that you can spend on vitamins, pain relievers, dental care products, first aid supplies, blood pressure monitors, and other health items without a prescription. Depending on your plan, that allowance can range from $50 to over $175 per month. Here's what changed. According to KFF's analysis of CMS data, the share of individual Medicare Advantage plans offering an OTC benefit dropped from 85% in 2024 down to 66% in 2026. That means millions of people who had this benefit last year may have lost it when their plan renewed in January. And many of them have no idea because they didn't read the annual notice of change their plan sent out in the fall. They're checking a card with nothing on it, assuming they did something wrong, and giving up. There's also a separate group that still has the benefit, knows they have it, and still loses it every quarter because unused OTC balances do not roll over. When the quarter ends, whatever's left expires permanently. The fix for that is a simple calendar reminder on the last week of every quarter to check your balance and place an order for everyday items you'll use eventually. Vitamins, pain relievers, toothbrushes, bandages. You don't need to be sick to use this benefit. Stock up on things you go through anyway. To find out whether you currently have an OTC benefit and what your balance is, log into your plan's member portal or call the member services number on the back of your Medicare card and ask, do I have an OTC benefit in 2026, and what is my current balance? If you're not sure whether your plan changed this year, pull out the annual notice of change from last fall. It will list exactly what your 2026 plan includes. So here's a complete picture. The spousal benefit top-up, the SSA, never applies automatically. One call to 1-800-772-1213 gets it started. The survivor benefit switching strategy that lets you collect real income throughout your 60s while your own benefit grows to its maximum at 70. Ask SSA specifically about filing for survivor benefits while deferring your own. The IRMAA appeal through Form SSA-44 that can eliminate a Medicare surcharge worth up to $6,936 per person per year if your income dropped since 2024. Call SSA and say the words. The WEP and GPO correction payments, especially for spousal and survivor cases, still working through the system. Log into SSA.gov, verify your benefit actually changed, and if it didn't, make the call. And the Medicare Advantage OTC benefit that either disappeared when your plan renewed in January or is sitting in your account expiring unused every quarter. Call the number on the back of your card this week. None of these come looking for you. The one thing that separates the people who collect this money from the people who don't is simply knowing it exists and making the call. If this helped you, please share it with someone you know who's on Social Security or Medicare. And subscribe to Informer John right now so you don't miss what's coming next.